Yep. Oh, yeah. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Good. All right, this is going to be about an 18-minute presentation, depending on the amount of questions that you guys actually answer and effort you put forth as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the traditions that we celebrate in the fire service, or a tradition that's a big part of what we are, and we'll get to that, but that's where we're headed this morning. Someone tell me about some traditions that you have that you might observe in your family, or what kind of family traditions that some of you might have.
Christmas.
Christmas? What do you do at Christmas?
We get both sides of the family, my wife's and mine, together for a big dinner at my house.
Awesome.
Instead of just having a small thing, it's a big old family tradition thing.
Good deal. Awesome. Anybody else have a cool family tradition? Family vacations every year? Any cool places? Or just, that's it, every year you make sure to go on a family vacation? Awesome. Awesome. How about, what about religious traditions? Anybody have like a religious tradition that you follow through with?
Christmas and Easter.
You're a CEO, huh? At Christmas and Easter only? Good deal. Anybody else? Have any religious traditions? Some people go to church every Sunday, and that's kind of their tradition. What's that?
If there's a holiday for yours, I follow it.
That's it. That's it. People asked this guy, Hank Williams Jr., they said, why do you drink? Why do you smoke? Why do you live out the song that you wrote? So in 1979, he released a song called Family Traditions that explained why he did what he did. He said it was tradition. In the same way, it's the same with our fire departments. There's a lot of things that we do that traditions explain why we do them. And some of us might not even know that. And that's what I kind of want to show you today. We have all different traditions. What are some traditions that you have at your department or that you know of that's in the fire service in general? I think some people don't wash their gear. Someone mentioned they keep their hood dirty and they were getting clean hoods last class.
After a big fire, first fire for a rookie, cut his shirt up, and you take him to Wally.
You cut his shirt up?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, that's cool, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing. All right. Well, that's cool. Eat dinner together every shift, have a dinner? You guys do the thing where everyone pitches in or everyone has to cook, or what do you do? So I can't cook, so I always did dishes and...
Yeah, we all decide what we want for dinner, and then one of the units doesn't get it, and we all pitch in, sit at the table, cook in, and everybody does their share.
Awesome.
We
Awesome.
cook breakfast every weekend.
Oh, just on your shift? If you're doing work in the weekend, you cook breakfast? That's cool. All right.
Weekends
Awesome.
we always eat together. Breakfast and dinner. But we always eat dinner together.
Yeah, good deal. I can't cook, so I boiled hot dogs, so people quit asking me to cook eventually.
Somebody who's not your wife comes visit the station,
That's probably a good tradition to keep to. One of the traditions that explains a little bit about why we do what we do is the badge that all of us wear, the firefighters Maltese cross. However, a lot of us don't really know the whole story of this or the origins of it, and a lot of us might not understand what it exactly stands for. And so I want to talk to you about that this morning. In the year 250 AD, the young man who's going to become the patron saint of firefighters, Florian, was born in Austria, what is modern-day Austria. At the time, Austria was controlled by Rome. And so the young Florian, as he grew up, he joined the Roman army, and he quickly moved through the ranks. He became an officer, and eventually moved up to commander level, where he was commanding the imperial army in Bavaria. Part of his duties and responsibilities there were to command the firefighting brigades. He was in charge of that. And so he did that, and legend has it that at one point in time, a fire was tearing through the town, destroying home after home, and as St. Florian arrived and the fire arrived kind of at the same point, he dumped one bucket of water on it and extinguished the whole fire. So that's kind of how his legend and his sainthood kind of began. Eventually, an emperor named Diocletian arose to power, and Diocletian, he had a hatred for Christians. He blamed the Christians for everything bad that happened to Rome. He blamed the Christians for any bad omen that he had in his life. So he rose to power, and Florian was still a commander. And so what Diocletian did, because he hated Christians, he said he wanted everything that had to do with Christ or the Christian faith destroyed, statues, churches, whatever it was destroyed. But that wasn't enough for him. He also said he wanted to kill all the Christian people. So if he saw people worshiping together, he especially wanted them all wiped out and killed. Now Florian was a Christian himself, so he couldn't turn his back on his brothers, and he wouldn't do it. So Diocletian said, Florian, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a raise. I'll raise you up to the ranks if you just renounce your faith and just do what I've asked you to do. Well, Florian wouldn't do it. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to turn my back on my brothers and on my faith. So what they did is they captured St. Florian. The soldiers beat him with clubs. They tortured him with spikes. they whipped him to the point where the skin was just sloughing off of his body. And he had still survived. So finally they said, we'll have to burn him. And he's known for this famous quote. He said, if you do light me on fire, I'll climb to heaven on the flames. Miraculously, he did survive the flames, and finally, out of desperation, they tied a big rock around his neck and drowned him in a river. But due to the fact that several historical accounts of this all say that as Florian was going through this torture and this torment, he always had a cheerful presence about him and a cheerful look on his face. And no doubt he was recalling the passage of Scripture from the Bible in James that says, "Consider it a great joy whenever you experience various trials." St. Florian's command of the fire brigade and his ability to douse huge fire with inadequate amounts of water and his resistance to the flames in the final days of his life have all brought him to the point where he serves now as the patron saint of firefighters. What he left for us was the Florian cross, is what you see here. This is the Florian cross. However, Florian's story is only half of the story of our firefighter's cross, where it comes from. The rest of the story picks up in 1095 AD during the times of the Crusades. There was a small island in the Mediterranean called Malta. It was protected by a group of soldiers known as the Knights of St. John. And the island of Malta was invaded by some Syrian invaders called Saracens. And in this invasion, they introduced a new form of warfare. It's called Greek fire. The Greek fire is similar to what we would use as napalm, what we know as napalm. What it was a flammable, gelatinous, sticky liquid that they would fill into glass balls. And then they would throw these balls into their enemy. The bulbs obviously would break, and this liquid would splash over everything. And then they would fire flaming arrows into the people. So these Knights of St. John, so what happened to them? They were burning. The unburned would rush in and try to pull their brothers to safety and try to stamp out the fire. But as you know, if you slosh through a flammable liquid, a lot of times that's going to get on you and cause them burning. So many of them gave their lives trying to save their brothers. But to the ones that survived, they were awarded 8-point stars, which later became known as the Maltese Cross. It's the combination of these historical events and these traditions and these crosses that we get our modern-day firefighters' cross. We call it the Maltese Cross, but it's really a firefighter's cross. It's a mixture of two crosses. Now, the 8 points on this cross that these Knights of St. John were awarded for their bravery, the 8 points, they represent the values that these men had in their life. And these 8 points represent the values that we pledge to uphold as we graduate Fire Academy, as we take our first jobs in the fire service. Those 8 points are loyalty, piety, frankness, bravery, honor, contempt of death, which is not fearing death, assistance to the weak, and respect for the church. So I want us to discuss these 8 points a little bit. I'm going to ask you some questions and just give me some of your feedback and your honest feedback, and let's see where we go. Loyalty. You know, St. Florian was loyal to his faith. He wouldn't give up. He wouldn't turn his back on his faith. The Knights of St. John were loyal to their brothers that had fallen. They risked their own lives to save them. They were loyal to the island of Malta that they had sworn to protect. What do we need to be loyal to in the fire service today? Where should some of our loyalties lie? Right, exactly. Those are all perfect answers to our brothers, our department, and our communities. Someone tell me how that might look. What does loyalty to your community look like?
Always responding when someone calls, or
willing to serve even outside of the 911 calls.
Excellent, excellent, good. Loyalty, being loyal. Piety is defined as reverence for God or devout fulfillment of religious obligations. How might we show piety in the fire service today, or what are some obligations that we should be fulfilling in the fire service that makes us worthy of that badge that we wear?
some obligations we have.
Right.
Responding to calls when you're on the toilet or shower, no matter what time of day it is.
Right.
Having
All right.
some,
Very good. Obligations to our brothers, our comrades, the people that we're working for. They expect us to have their back if they're going to get hurt or injured. They expect us to be there. We're obligated to them. What about frankness? What do you think of when you hear that word frankness? What do you think that means? Straightforward. All right. Straightforward in what?
honest.
We'll talk about honesty in a minute. But yeah, you're right. That's exactly right. Frankness is simply openness in speech. St. Florian didn't care if he was going to die for his faith. He did what was right. You know, the Knights of St. John, they didn't care that they were going to die. They did what was right and stood up for what's right. As people that wear this Maltese cross, we have a obligation or a duty to be frank, to stand up for what's right and to speak out for what's right, and to decry the things that are wrong when they're wrong. Frankness. Bravery. Someone tell me a story of bravery. Every department has the guy that wears it's gotten a special pin for bravery. What's the story of bravery from your departments? You don't have any brave people in your department?
Doing the right thing, again, frankness, but
Is there a specific incident?
Go the extra mile, brother. I mean, people have a concept. They say people run from stuff that we go into.
Right. All right, very good. Excellent. Bravery. We all kind of know what bravery is. Here's a big one, is honor. Honor is basically integrity. And integrity is doing the right thing all the time, always doing the right thing no matter who's watching. Integrity is who you are when no one's watching. That's who you truly are. Integrity in our actions, integrity in the things that we do and the things that we say. When we deal with people, we need to deal with them honestly and with integrity and be a person worthy of honor. How about contempt of death? We're not afraid of death. Most of us kind of getting this job. We didn't do it because we're going to be millionaires. We did it because we believed in something, and we kind of know that death might be an option for us in this job. We kind of know that. We try to do everything not to have that happen. The Knights of St. John, as they were pulling out their men, they probably recalled the words of Scripture that says, "No one has greater love than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends." That's kind of what we're called to do. How about assistance to the weak? We do that every day, right? Someone's sick. There's different kinds of weakness, maybe a physical weakness, or if someone's house is burning, at that point they're weaker than we are because when we have the tools that can take care of that and they don't. So we come and we help them. How about respect for the church? This is an interesting one because I've never, and I might be wrong in this group, but I've never met a firefighter that just says he hates God and doesn't want anything to do with God. I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but I've never met one. And usually if there's a funeral or anything like that, there's always kind of a religious connotation to it. And I've never met, in my departments, sometimes we would have prayer together. If someone wanted to do that or lead that, we would do that. So it's a respect for the church. There's a lot of departments that are getting negative press. Someone tell me maybe a negative press rate here at some department and what was involved, or a typical story that might cause negative press.
Yeah, well, yesterday on Channel 9.
Your Channel 9 is different than my Channel 9.
We had one of our assistant chiefs who was on Channel 9. He had a story about him being involved in a few accidents while on leave. So they were quick to highlight
All right.
the inadequacies of the fire department. Who's out there supposed to protect and save and what have you. Yet we got people getting involved in wrecks.
All right.
The thing is, with the media, what's the reprimand? Is he going to be fired? Was he suspended? What's the, that's always the media looking for issues.
Oh yeah, they can pull out the negative stories. That's a good one. Yeah, money's a good thing that they like to hit on. Sometimes, how many of you heard the stories about? We always hear the story. It seems of a firefighter that gets a DUI or he gets in an accident, right?
Firefighter DUI, the firefighter takes pain pills from the patient, firefighter stealing VA money.
Right. Well, one of the things that I realized from negative press is it always reverts back to someone not in keeping with those 8 values, those 8 points that we wear on our badge. Someone that said, "Hey, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to do my own thing." But the guy that has wrecks, he's not really being loyal to his community as if he's driving carelessly. The DUI, he's not a person acting with integrity if he gets drunk, gets in his car, and drives and causes a life. He's not. Your title might be firefighter, might be EMT, paramedic, mechanic, chief, inspector. It doesn't matter. That might be your job title, but we all have the same job description, and that's public servant. To fulfill that job description, we have to maintain these 8 values: loyalty, piety, frankness, bravery, honor, contempt of death, assistance to the weak, and respect for the church. I have a gift for you. We have a little Catholic store. I'm not Catholic, but I guess they have stores, and they have trading cards. There's no gum in the pack. But so these are of, each one of you can pass these around and take one of these. These are just little cards that have St. Florian on them. It's something you can remember by, you can throw it in your gear bag or take it home and throw it in the trash. But it's something you can hold and say, one day say, "Hey man, I remember that guy talked about these 8 values. Am I still living those 8 values in my life, in my career? Or are there some of these values that I need to work on in my life to improve on?" thank you guys for your time and your patience. Are there any questions or anything to add? Anybody have anything to add?
Who wants to call that one? Good job.
Not me, that's pretty good.
I pick you.
What's this time? What's this time?
What's the time?
1450.
1450. And who's critiquing them?